This episode of Android Authority is brought to you by Carbonite. Go to carbonite.com and use the promo code AUTHORITY for a free trial. The Nexus 5 rumor train keeps on rolling. Google TV goes by way of Google Talk, and our screens start to bend to our wills. Hey, it's Josh Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And it's time for another dose of the week's top Android news. It's Android Weekly. In what was a pretty quick confirmation of all the rumors we had last week, Samsung just went ahead and announced the Galaxy Round, a 5.7-inch screen device that has a flexible display. This is a brand new line for Samsung that looks to really take advantage of that curve. Sporting a 5.7-inch OLED display, this phone is also packing a 2.3 GHz Exynos quad-core processor and 3 GB of RAM. One of the features that we have seen regarding the phone's curves is a quick glance screen that appears when you tilt the phone to your face. Initial reports state that the phone's curve does make the phone very comfortable in the hand, which will be one of its main selling points. However, not to be outdone, LG announced that their plastic-based flexible displays have gone into production. Their version of a display with a curve goes from top to bottom instead of side to side like Samsung's screen, and it comes in at 6 inches, 0.44 millimeters thick, and weighs 7.2 grams. While we don't know any more details about the smartphone that this screen will go on, nor the timetable of its release, Reuters reported that the LG's iteration will launch in November. Okay, now we have a lot of rumors regarding Android and the new Nexus 5. However, we're going to start with the software and then move on into the hardware. Our first story is in regards to Google Hangouts. Sources state that the chat app will also become a messaging app fully integrating SMS and MMS. A few images spill the beans regarding a slight revamp accommodating these new features. It is unknown when this update will roll out, but we can expect the Hangouts app to override the messaging app in our Nexus smartphones, much like what happened to Google Talk. Speaking of revamps, we got a lot of news regarding Android 4.4 KitKat's main changes, and one of them will be in the Downloads application. It will get a better hollow look and allow for easier sorting and jumping among the list. Another picture reveals what this will look like ahead of the Android 4.4 launch. Another makeover is in the location settings area. Instead of some jumbled jargon of the original location settings screen, we get better toggles explaining which parts of the phone will be used to figure out just where in the hell you are. All of this information has yet to be confirmed, but we will say that these screenshots do pretty much look legit. Stay tuned to Android Authority when Android 4.4 KitKat launches and we'll have all the details ready for you. We started off the news week with what might be the biggest leak yet for the upcoming Nexus 5. An entire manual for the phone made it online and essentially told us everything we needed to know about what's running underneath the hood. The long 281-page document shows a lot of technical information, but the main bits we're all excited to know about made it in. The new Nexus smartphone will sport a 5-inch Full HD IPS display, the Snapdragon 800 clocked in at 2.3 GHz, weigh 139 grams, and feature an 8-megapixel camera that features optical image stabilization. From what I know so far, the manual has been taken down from the post that we had on Android Authority, but if you look hard enough online, I'm sure you still will be able to find it. Another pretty substantial leak shows us more pictures of the smartphone along with more Android 4.4 pictures. A tipster reported that the phone is a little bigger than the previous Nexus 4, but isn't at all heavier. Dual stereo speakers will make for a very good audio listening performance too. As far as the user interface goes, some aesthetic changes include the newly translucent notification bar and a camera icon that can be swiped in the lock screen to easily enter the camera app. The app launcher icon has been changed as well, while the app drawer itself has been given an even cleaner look with a 5x4 icon grid. Google Now has been updated to allow for more ways to access the search. For one thing, you can just say, "Okay Google," while in the home screens and it'll pop right up. Finally, we see a couple new additions in the settings menu in the form of a tap and pay for utilizing NFC to make payments from your phone, and then the cloud printing feature that was previously reported on. There are a ton of changes coming in Android 4.4 KitKat, and we know that all of this information are all still rumors. However, we might actually be getting some confirmations very soon. The Nexus 5, or perhaps it may be called the Nexus 4 2013 edition, looks to have an announcement date of October 15. Apparently, the news was slipped during a recent event Google hosted for startups, where developers reportedly teased key lime pie, even though we all know it as KitKat now. Technically, we won't know any real information until perhaps October 15th rolls around, but if it does happen to be the day that we find out about the Nexus 5 and Android 4.4, we'll have all the information ready for you at androidauthority.com. We finally move on from these rumors with some real announcements of a couple new Chromebooks. HP, squarely putting itself into the Google game, unveiled their Chromebook 11. This is a wallet-friendly laptop coming in at just $279 while still sporting some good specifications. Acer had their own Chromebook in the wings, and they made sure to put their price point below that of HP. Acer's C720 Chromebook also has an 11.6-inch display but comes with a Haswell-powered Intel processor, lending it to a possible battery life of over 8 hours. Pre-orders for both of these Chromebooks are already available. Now we move to Sony with the announcement of their own mini-esque offering. The Xperia Z1F, that's a lowercase f, became official in Japan this week and is quite literally the smaller version of the powerful Xperia Z1, as it is still an aluminum and glass-clad smartphone. With a 4.3-inch 720p display, we have a much more accessible phone for the general user but no lack of power. The Z1F will sport the Snapdragon 800 processor and 2 GB of RAM along with the same great 20.7 megapixel camera of the original. It looks like Google wants to drop the Google TV name and somewhat change it up. According to GigaOM, confirmation of a name change sees Google TV become Android TV. This isn't the only place we've seen such a change, however, as some current smart TV offerings don't explicitly say Google TV, but instead say access the latest Google services for TV. While we are still waiting for the actual announcements regarding the changes these services will get, this is certainly one main start. And finally, we end on rumors regarding the Samsung Galaxy S5. We are moving more and more into the general season for the S5, and it looks like along the way, we're going to be seeing how the Galaxy S5 is a more complete offering than ever. Despite rumors that the Galaxy Note 3 will be made into a ruggedized or active version, a report from a Korean website states that the Galaxy S5 will have water and dust resistance right out of the box, eliminating the need for an active version. Without more substantial details, this rumor is somewhat supported by the fact that the Galaxy S4 Active was actually a pretty popular phone, perhaps popular enough to make Samsung change their tune a little bit. And the Galaxy S5 might be getting a bumped up release schedule than was originally expected. It has been reported that Samsung might be announcing the phone in January with a release date of just 1 month later. Rumors like this always come up, but with Samsung unhappy with their S4 sales numbers, getting the next version ready sooner than later might make some sense. What we are interested in hearing is that Samsung's move to 64-bit processing is very likely in the S5's future. An Exynos 5 Octa 5430 processor capable of 64-bit was also reported along with a 16-megapixel camera with OIS. Even if we are quite a ways off from the Samsung Galaxy S5, we shouldn't be surprised to see that rumors are starting up even this early in the game. And so, there you have it for this edition of Android Weekly. As always, the written post can be found in links in the description below for all of the stories that were covered in this video. Drop us a like if you liked this week's news, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We have a lot of other great weekly shows like Google Play Weekly and Q&A, both hosted by Joe Hindi. On top of all of that, Android Authority has all of the best coverage for you because we are your source for all things Android.